Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Coming to you live from the Circa Sportsbook here in downtown Las Vegas. I'm Scott Seidenburg. It is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. As we get you ready for playoff action in the NBA and the NHL, we have baseball games in progress as we speak. And let's jump right into the action in progress and take a look at live markets for the Major League Baseball games. And there are only two that are in progress right now. We have a battle between the White Sox and the Rangers, where Chicago has come from behind to take a 9-5 lead over the Rangers. They're in the bottom of the eighth. They're in Chicago. But Texas jumped out to a 3-0 lead. It was then cut to 3-2, then 4-2, before a 6-run bottom of the sixth inning by the Chicago White Sox as they look to hand the Rangers their sixth straight defeat. And the problem for Texas has been they can't score. And the 5 runs that they've scored here in this game today, honestly, it's like an aberration. Because this is one of the lowest scoring teams in Major League Baseball, third lowest scoring team, averaging just over 4 runs per game. Their pitching's been tremendous. And maybe not today, but the pitching's been great. It's why they're one of the best under teams in Major League Baseball, because they can pitch very well with Jacob deGrom coming into his own, with Nathan Eovaldi getting off to the start that he's gotten off to. Tyler Mahle, with the exception of yesterday, has been tremendous for this team. Even Jack Leiter, who got the start today and got started out pretty well before being taken out after allowing only 2 runs. The bullpen didn't get the job done, but the offense can't score. But they scored 5 runs today, so the game goes over. But now the White Sox are about to, well, they're on their way to a win, unless this low-scoring Texas Rangers offense can do something in the top of the 9th inning. But that's where we sit right now, 9-5. The Rangers lead, the White Sox lead the Rangers in the bottom of the 8th inning. Your live run line is White Sox minus 3.5 runs. That's heavily juiced at minus 375. Your live total is at 14.5, as we already have 14 runs. So basically your betting is, will there be another run scored or not? You're only guaranteed this bottom of the 8th and the top of the 9th, because with the White Sox winning, they won't bat in the bottom of the 9th. And we are in the 2nd inning, the bottom of the 2nd inning, in game number 2 of a doubleheader between the Red Sox and the Orioles, as the Red Sox wore green jerseys in game 1, yellow jerseys in game 2. So green Sox, yellow Sox, no Red Sox. But here we are in the bottom of the 2nd inning, scoreless between these two in a game that I bet the over, so I'm hoping that we get some runs between these teams, as it is a 0-0 game right now. And the big moment right now at Fenway Park, the crowd is giving a standing ovation as coming up to the plate for his Major League debut, one of the Red Sox top prospects, Marcelo Mayer, starting at third base with the injury to Alex Bregman. So Mayer starting at third, getting his first Major League at-bat right now against Trevor Rogers, pitching for the Baltimore Orioles. And this has been very highly publicized. He is one of the Red Sox top prospects. The Sox had really 3 or 4 big-name prospects heading into this season. We already knew about Christian Campbell, who has been with the squad the entire year, is one of the favorites to win the American League Rookie of the Year award. In fact, let's look at those updated markets right now. We know Jacob Wilson of the A's is having a tremendous start to his season, but let's see if we get some updated Rookie of the Year. Find those numbers, as it's off the board up on DraftKings. We'll check FanDuel and others. Jacob Wilson is your favorite for the Athletics. He has gotten off to a tremendous start this season, but Christian Campbell was right there with him as the second favorite for the American League Rookie of the Year. Now Christian Campbell is the fourth favorite behind Wilson, the Yankees' Jason Dominguez, and Will Warren, actually, of the Yankees, getting some love here as the third favorite to win the American League Rookie of the Year. But Christian Campbell is your fourth favorite. Marcelo Mayer, who is making his Major League debut right now, getting his first career at bat as we speak, is your seventh favorite to win the American League Rookie of the Year at 35-1. Now, there's no guarantee that he stays up with the squad now for the remainder of the season. He was called up because in a doubleheader, the roster does expand. They give you that leeway. Plus, Alex Bregman did leave the game the other day with a little bit of an injury. So the uncertainty here with Bregman over the next couple of days, the ability to add to your roster. They call up Marcelo Mayer, and we'll see what he does here in his Major League debut. It looks like it is a strikeout for Mayer. His first career at bat. He goes down looking on an outside fastball. So Mayer plus 3,500 to be your American League Rookie of the Year. But that's not even the Red Sox top prospect. Their number one prospect, who is the number one prospect, in fact, in all of Major League Baseball, has yet to make his debut. But if he does get called up at some point, which is what a lot of folks around baseball are expecting to happen sooner rather than later, Roman Anthony right now 50-1 to be the American League Rookie of the Year. Now, we haven't seen it, and he's missed the first month or so of the season as we are almost at the end of May here, getting ready to get into June. So if he plays half a season, is that enough for voters to, if he does outshine everybody else, to be the Rookie of the Year? Who's to say? Sometimes it is a what have you done for me lately award. So if you impress in the second half of the season, you can earn yourself the award. But there's hype around Marcelo Mayer making his debut tonight. There's hype even more around Roman Anthony, who has yet to make his Major League debut, as the Red Sox will not score here in the bottom of the second, and we will go to the top of the third, scoreless there at Fenway. Your live total, now before this game it was at 9. You can now get in at 7.5. It is plus 110 to the over. It's a bet that I would make. I'll be honest with you. I like the over coming into this game. I still like the over. You're getting a reduced price here now at 7.5, and you're getting plus money to the over because we've already gone through the lineup here without any runs being scored. But these are two pitchers that I don't necessarily trust. I don't necessarily trust Lucas Giolito, and I don't trust Trevor Rogers. Now, we haven't seen Rogers. He's making his 2025 debut here. But if we just look at Lucas Giolito this season, and we see what he has done for the Boston Red Sox at home this year, he's made 2 starts at Fenway Park. His ERA at Fenway is 14.09. That's right. He's made 2 starts at Fenway this year. He gave up 6 runs to the Rangers and 6 runs to the Braves. But yet he's gone through 2 innings here against the Orioles and hasn't allowed anything. And now, obviously, we're not going to expect the guy to give up 6 runs every single time, but clearly he hasn't been good pitching at Fenway Park, going through, this lineup. All right. Maybe guys are a little bit tired, fatigued after playing game 1 of a doubleheader, which the Red Sox won in walk-off fashion earlier today. But it was still a 6-5 game, and there was runs scored early in the first inning, nothing then until the 5th. I think that when it comes down to it, both of these teams will be able to attack the bullpens. There was so many pitchers used in game number 1 that anybody that comes in to pitch here in game number 2 is going. The batters have seen these guys already. The Orioles, after the starters, which were Zach Eflin for the Orioles and Hunter Dobbins for the Red Sox, after those starters, the Orioles used 5 relievers, including all of their high leverage relievers in Yanier Cano, Bautista, and Soto. The Red Sox, meanwhile, used their high leverage relievers as well, as they used 6 relievers, including Chapman, Newcomb, Weissert. So anybody that pitches later in this game, both of these teams have seen these pitchers out of the bullpens. There's going to be no surprises. Even going back to game 1 of this series when the Red Sox scored, 13 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, they still saw Soto, Dominguez, and the Red Sox pitched Whitlock and Wilson and Slayton and Toro and Bernardino. So the Orioles and Red Sox now, as we head later on into this series, we have a doubleheader today. They've seen all the pitchers. So later in this game, I think we can get runs. If we get the starters out, there should be runs off the bullpen, which is why I like a live over here of over 7.5 in this game. I would play that live over right now as we're in the top of the 3rd inning. So I would take it, and where are we right now? Top of the 3rd. I believe that's 1 out now, top of the 3rd. Or, nope, that's a single. So we got a runner on now, top of the 3rd. You're 7.5, that was plus 110, now minus 105. Get in. I would get in if you haven't done so already. We still have games that are about to get underway. Blue Jays and Rays from Tampa, Dodgers and Mets, a big matchup there at Citi Field. We got the Guardians, Tigers, Phillies and A's later on tonight, as well as Marlins and Angels. And, of course, all of the action in the NBA playoffs. Game 3 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Finals between the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Plenty of preview of those games still to come. But we're going to stick with Major League Baseball because that's what's going on right now in this hour. We're going to be joined by Johnny Venezia from RotoWire coming up next. Get his thoughts, especially on this Mets game against the Dodgers. I'll give you a hint. I'm on the same bet that I'm on in this Red Sox game. We'll get to it coming up next. I'm Scott Seidenburg, always on Twitter, @ScottsOnAir. It's Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Live Bet Saturday, I'm Scott Seidenburg on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, as we are tracking the action in Major League Baseball. If you took that live over in the Rangers-White Sox game of over 14.5, you got there because the White Sox did score a run in the bottom of the 8th inning. 10-5 was your final as the White Sox hand the Rangers their 6th straight defeat. Meanwhile, the Red Sox and Orioles are scoreless going to the bottom of the 3rd inning despite a single allowed from Lucas Giolito. Runner was caught stealing there in the top of the 3rd. So we head to the bottom of the 3rd, scoreless between the Orioles and the Red Sox. Your live total right now is at 6.5. And it is minus 120 to the over. You guys already know where I stand. I was on the over 9 before the game even started, so I obviously like the over 6.5, and I do think that once we get into the bullpens, we will see runs scored in this game. Let's continue the Major League Baseball conversation. Joining us now on the Progressive guest line is Johnny Venezia from RotoWire on Twitter at _JohnnyVTV. Johnny, thanks so much for joining us here on Live Bet Saturday. Your thoughts, first off, on potentially a live over here in the Red Sox-Orioles game, seeing the number at 6.5 going to the bottom of the 3rd inning.
What's going on, Scott? Thanks so much for having me. Been a minute, so yeah, let's get right to it. I think given the amount of runs that we've seen in this series so far this weekend, this is very reminiscent of a couple of college teams that have absolutely no pitching and are just completely teeing off when we get 17.5 run totals in certain game situations. 6.5, little light here. And I was talking to you off air, and some of these bullpen arms have been used throughout the weekend, and these batters have seen them already. And it's going into the bottom of the third, 6.5 runs. Obviously, you're almost a third of the way through the game with no runs, but you know as well as I do, Fenway Park is a place where runs can come in a hurry. And with a couple of pitchers that have been unreliable, combining with the bullpen arms and the offenses that can score, I think the over 6.5 is a pretty solid look there. So I'm not going to say you're out of the woods by any stretch, but I would probably feel better being on your side than the under.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you said, at Fenway, you're a half an inning away from this live total being going from 6.5 to going back up to 9 if you get a couple of guys on and then one shot off the green monster or over that short porch there in right field. So definitely a lot of baseball left to be played, and a game that's just getting underway at Citi Field. The Mets hosting the Dodgers after a game in which we saw last night the Dodgers win 7-5 in 13 innings. What's your take on this game and how last night maybe affects the play going into today?
Yeah, this is obviously a great game. The playoffs last year. I actually went to this game at Citi Field last year, and it was electric. So, the energy is going to be high. Holiday weekend here. We got the Mets looking for a little revenge after a heartbreaker last night. Sending David Peterson to the hill, man. And, believe me, I had the Mets having a down year last December for December 23 heading for the 24 season because, listen, I didn't think their pitching was going to be able to deliver. They get these guys that are, in the twilight of their career or who have never had a prime, and they all had career years. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see if they could do it again. And they're doing it again. And you have guys like David Peterson, who's having a terrific year. It's a 2.86 ERA. He's pitching in 3 straight quality starts. And Tony Gonsolin just came off the injured list. He's only making, I believe, his 4th start. And he hasn't really faced any competition. He's faced the Marlins twice. So I think David Peterson's going to be ready to go, man. He's gotten 6 innings in his last 3 starts. He's pitching really good ball. And I feel like the Mets are going to be able to jump on Gonsolin. I think Juan Soto could be in for a big day here.
Right now, got the first 2 batters out. So David Peterson off to a good start here, top of the first inning at Citi Field. No score between the Mets and the Dodgers, and we'll see what happens when the Mets come up to bat here in the bottom of the first inning. Your live total is at 8.5, that was the total before the game started. I went in on the over. I think that both these offenses could explode here in this matchup, and maybe the bullpens, maybe the arms are a little fatigued after a lot of usage yesterday. 13 inning game, as we mentioned, with the Dodgers winning 7-5. Speaking of the Mets, last week I was looking at the schedule for both the Mets and the Phillies. The Phillies took 3 games against the Pirates and then were about to face the Rockies for 4 games before going to Sacramento to take on the A's. The Mets, meanwhile, had the series against the Yankees, then the Red Sox, and then the Dodgers. And so I placed a bet on the Phillies at plus 170 to win the division, thinking a good week for the Phillies and a bad week for the Mets, and we're going to see this line completely, change. Well, here we are. The Phillies haven't lost. The Mets have. Now you can get the Mets at plus 170 or plus 180. Is this a buy point for you on the New York Mets to come back and win the National League East?
So here's the thing. I'm a firm believer of whatever I take in the preseason, I like to ride with the ship. That doesn't mean I'm not, keeping my ear to the ground and making sure I'm staying aware of what happens during a 162 game season. So the Phillies were my team that I thought was going to win the NL East, preseason. And the New York Mets are definitely intriguing. This is going to be a carousel. Atlanta is going to be back in the mix here. Ronald Acuna, first game back, first pitch, hits the top, and I think he did it again today. So, Ronald Acuna he ignites this energy into this Braves team in addition to all this production. So they're in the mix here. I'm not ready to jump in on the Mets. I think Philadelphia, with the rotation they have, they're going to be so tough to beat this year. And ultimately, what's going to end up happening is, can the New York Mets win enough games in this division? Because we see it all the time in the NFL. Like, you got to win your divisional games. I don't know if the Mets are going to be able to consistently take down the Phillies throughout the year and Atlanta as well. And let's not forget about Washington, because they're still a pretty potent, frisky young team. So I'm actually not buying the Mets here. I'm staying with my original projection of the Phillies winning this division. I think their pitching is too good, and they have so many stars top to bottom in their offense.
Johnny Venezia from RotoWire joining me. Scott Seidenburg here on Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Speaking of those Phillies, they take on the A's tonight. Game 2 of their series in Sacramento after Philly won Game 1 last night. And good thing they got those insurance runs in the 9th inning, because they gave up runs in the bottom of the 9th and escaped with a 4-3 victory. Tonight we have Christopher Sanchez on the mound for Philadelphia. Jeffrey Springs going for the A's, and Springs is a guy who let's just say prefers to not pitch in Sacramento, as he's got really, really staggering home road splits. What's your take on this game? Any plays for you, whether it's the first 5 innings or full game, sides, totals, where you're looking?
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Sanchez was a guy that a lot of people liked as a dark horse. Every year for Cy Young, you get somebody in that like 14 to 30 to 1 range that everybody just goes all in on. Zach Allen was a couple years ago. Tariq Skubal was last year. Christopher Sanchez is that guy this year. And, he's pitched unbelievably. I know the A's, with their strikeouts, they got Jacob Wilson. He didn't do a lot of striking out at Grand Canyon. That's really what made me put him on one of my AL Rookie of the Year leaders and winners coming into the season. I think 5.5 over strikeouts is interesting. I know this isn't a team that you might expect to be striking out a ton in a matchup like this against one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. Obviously, sarcasm, but I think I would take a shot on the over 5.5. I'm not laying 175. Oakland is frisky, man. They have a lot of talent in this lineup. My boy Nick Kurtz looking like an AL Rookie of the Year contender. Nicky Nukes is firmly going to be in that race come the end of the year as well. So I like the over strikeouts, staying away from the money line.
Meanwhile, still scoreless here at Fenway Park as I'm watching the game on TV, Johnny, but I'm also have the StatCast data pulled up. We've had 4 balls hit at over 100 miles per hour exit velo, including a Rafaela flyout that was 370 feet and a flyout just now from Rutschman that went to the deepest part of Fenway in that center field chasm there that was caught on the warning track. So, the expected numbers are high in a game like this where we're seeing a lot of balls be a lot of deep outs or hard hit balls that result in outs. When you look at a game, maybe from a live betting perspective, is there anything in particular that you're looking at before placing a live wager?
Well, for me, if I'm placing a live wager, usually I have to be watching the game. I have to see how the pitcher's throwing. Do I feel like he's getting lucky? Is he consistently hitting or missing the zone? How are the batters recognizing the pitches? Are they taking good swings? Is there some fluky things that aren't necessarily going in your favor that will probably even out throughout the course of the game? All that stuff kind of factors in. And if you're not watching the game, then I think, honestly, the best bet is just to read what pitchers you have going up and maybe taking a look at who threw the day before. I mean, maybe you have a key reliever that threw 25 pitches in a couple innings the game before, and you think he's probably not going to be available in this particular matchup. So I think looking at who's available when you're not watching the game is something that you really need to be taking notice of.
Great advice, Johnny. Appreciate the time and the insight. Good luck with your bets, my friend.
You too. Have a good one. Thanks.
There he is, Johnny Venezia from RotoWire, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. We'll get you up to date with all the scores in progress right now and some live betting opportunities up next with me, Scott Seidenburg, here on Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Back here on Live Bet Saturday. I'm Scott Seidenburg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnAir. Coming up about 15 minutes or so from now, we are going to preview game number 3 between the Hurricanes and the Panthers. We'll be joined by Dennis Bernstein from the Fourth Period, also SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, and find out from Dennis if we believe the Hurricanes have some fight in them in this game number 3 tonight, down 2-0, making a goaltender gender switch, though. Pyotr Kochetkov in net instead of Frederik Andersen. But we're keeping track of all the Major League Baseball in progress right now, as we got no score between the Mets and the Dodgers going to the top of the second inning there at Citi Field. The Tigers have taken a 1-0 lead over the Guardians early. They're in the bottom of the first there in Detroit. The Rays scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the first inning in Tampa have a 3-0 lead over the Blue Jays, and still no score between the Red Sox and the Orioles. Bottom of the fourth inning there in Fenway, game 2 of a doubleheader, and 2 games still to come later on tonight. Phillies at the A's, and the Marlins are at the Angels. And I like the Phillies in the first 5. We'll talk more about that game coming up a little bit later on, but I think, as we talked about with our guest Johnny Venezia last segment, Christopher Sanchez has pitched really well this season, and then Jeffrey Springs not having a good start, especially at home. An interesting nugget that was in The Athletic earlier today, and our very own Adam Burke at vsin.com caught on this, read that article on The Athletic, and he took a snippet and wrote about it up on vsin.com, but it had to do with the discomfort for pitchers pitching in Sacramento. Just the way the grounds crew takes care of the mound, whatever it is, there seems to be some discomfort there. And so possibly altered landing spots, elevated pitches could lead. That's why we could be seeing more runs, because pitches are not down in the zone. Pitchers are leaving pitches up in the zone, and when you leave pitches up in the zone, they could lead to more runs, and that could be another reason why we see a lot of runs being scored in the games played in Sacramento. But we'll get to that Phillies game coming up a little bit later on. Right now, we're keeping an eye on the games that are in progress and our live scores or live numbers. Your live total in the Orioles-Red Sox game is at 4.5 as we remain scoreless. I don't even know. We have had hits in this game. 4 hits for the Orioles, just 1 hit for the Red Sox, but no real runs. A couple of guys, not even a couple of guys left on base. I mean, last inning we had a couple of guys left on base, but there was a runner that was cut down that was stealing for the Orioles, so just not a lot of opportunities. Meanwhile, we do have traffic on the base paths in Tampa as the Blue Jays have 2 runners on as they look to respond after the Rays scored 3 in the bottom of the first inning, and the Tigers not done scoring. Well, who knows, but we'll see. They have 2 runners on, bottom of the first inning. They are up 1-0. Mets and Dodgers are in the top of the second, still scoreless. David Peterson getting the start for the Mets in this one, and starting for the Dodgers is Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin has only made 4 starts this season, and he went 6 innings in his first start. That was on April 30th. And other than that, he's gone 5, 5, and 4. And in his last outing against the Angels, gave up 4 runs in those 4 innings. 2 home runs allowed. So Gonsolin hasn't exactly been elite to start this year. Meanwhile, David Peterson, the lefty, has actually had a decent season, a 2.86 ERA. He's gone 6 innings in each of his last 3 starts, and that's something that the Mets are going to look for him to do in this game tonight, because they would like to save the bullpen. A lot of arms used in that 13-inning game last night. So if Peterson can give them length, the Mets feel confident about their ability to win this game and snap out of this little skid that they're in after losing in 13 innings last night. And if not for that win against the Red Sox in the finale of their 3-game set, I mean, they lost the last game to the Yankees. They lost 2 of 3 to the Yankees, lost 2 of 3 to the Red Sox, and now lost game 1 of the series against the Dodgers. As I mentioned when I talked about the odds to win the National League East, the Phillies right now are 3 games up on the Mets, and Philly has won 8 straight games, while the Mets have kind of teetered here and are struggling. So they're looking to snap out of this little skid, and the schedule does get better for them. So if you're looking for a Mets team to kind of, surge, if you will, after this series against the Dodgers, 3 against the White Sox, 3 against the Rockies, all at home. So this is a 9-game homestand here. 3 against the White Sox after the Dodgers series, 3 against the White Sox, 3 against the Rockies. I mean, you pick up 5 wins out of those 6 games, and all of a sudden, maybe things turn around for you here in the division race, in your season race, as you progress throughout, the rest of this first half of the season. Then you got a 4-game series with the Dodgers in LA, but then 3 at Colorado. So with the exception of the LA series, the Mets have 9 games where they could really win 8 of 9, if not all 9. You got to pick up wins when they're given to you. Just like the Phillies did during this 8-game win streak for the Phillies. They took care of business against the Pirates, who can't score. They swept the Rockies, and here they are with, taking the first game of a 3-game set against the A's in Sacramento. These are games when they're provided for you. You got to capture these wins when you can. Which is why I think it's so interesting when you look at these live markets throughout the course of a season, is that there is opportunities. There will be opportunities that present themselves to manipulate your futures portfolio. As we talked about last week on the show, you could have bet the Phillies, looking at this schedule, looking ahead, projecting ahead to the next week's games. You could have taken the Phillies at plus 170 to win the National League East. The Phillies are now the favorite. They're 3 games up on the Mets. You can get the Mets right now at plus 170. And now your portfolio is Mets at plus 70, plus 170, Phillies at plus 170. And then you sit back and watch the Braves win the division and lose your tickets. I'm Scott Seidenburg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. Still to come tonight, we have, as I mentioned, the Game 3s in the playoffs. Game 3 of the NHL Eastern Conference Finals coming up. And in about 10 minutes or so from now, we're going to be joined by Dennis Bernstein from SiriusXM's NHL Network Radio, also the fourthperiod.com. And if you look at this game tonight, a couple of things that jump out. One is Pyotr Kochetkov in net instead of Frederik Andersen for the Hurricanes. Does that give Carolina a boost? Now, Kochetkov hasn't played in a little bit, so you have to wonder, is he rusty a little bit? Is he going to be up to the task? The last time, well, he did play. He came in the third period in game number 2, but his last start was against the Devils in the first round in Game 5. And in that game, he was started the game, gave up 4 goals. He started Game 4 against the Devils. He didn't start Game 4. Came in relief in Game 4 against the Devils and allowed 1 goal on 15 shots. So what we've seen so far in the playoffs from Kochetkov is coming in relief in Game 4 against the Devils, allowing 1 goal on 15 shots, getting the start in Game 5 against the Devils, and allowing 4 goals on 35 shots, and then coming in relief in Game number 2 in this series against the Panthers, allowing 1 goal on 5 shots. Is he up to the task against this Panthers team? Or does Rod Brindamore hope that by putting Kochetkov in net, you get a little bit of a boost from the rest of your team, a better defensive effort from the rest of your team, playing with desperation, season on the line? Because you go down 3-0 to this Panthers team. I know the Oilers showed us that you could come back down 3-0 against this Panthers team and force a Game 7. Carolina's not doing that. Carolina, a team that's lost, 14 straight Eastern Conference Finals games? Some crazy number like that. They're not coming back from 3-0 down against the Florida Panthers. Season's on the line tonight. Does the switch going to Kochetkov in net give them a boost? Meanwhile, for the Panthers, they're going to be without Sam Reinhart in this game. So with Sam Reinhart out with the injury, big blow to the Panthers. Can Carolina take advantage of that? We'll find out. If you want to know where the real money is going, well, unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa is known for taking big bets from professional bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just the public money, but the kind of wagers that move lines. You can see the percentage of bets versus percentage of handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 for your first month at vsin.com/subscribe. Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period and SiriusXM's NHL Network Radio joins me next. I'm Scott Seidenburg. It's Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Back here on Live Bet Saturday. I'm Scott Seidenburg on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Always on Twitter at Scott's On Air, as we are tracking all the action in Major League Baseball right now. Still scoreless at Fenway Park. Game 2 of a doubleheader between the Red Sox and the Orioles. Rays with a 3-0 lead over the Blue Jays. Top of the third inning in Tampa. Tigers lead the Guardians 3-0. Bottom of the second in Detroit. And the Dodgers have jumped out to a 2-0 lead over the Mets. Bottom of the second inning there at Citi Field. About 20 minutes or so, maybe a half an hour, depending on how long the anthems take and the pregame festivities, from puck drop of Game 3 of the NHL's Eastern Conference Finals between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers. And joining us now on the Progressive guest line to help break it down is Dennis Bernstein. You listen to him on SiriusXM's NHL Radio, read his work on the fourth period. Dennis, thanks so much for joining us here on VSiN. And let's just get this out of the way. The decision for Rod Brind'Amour to go to Pyotr Kochetkov in net over Freddie Anderson, is he looking for a spark from his team? What do you get from this decision in essentially, you never want to say must win unless your season's on the line, but for all intents and purposes, this is a must win for the Carolina Hurricanes?
Yeah, I joke with people. This is not Game 7 for them, Scott, because it doesn't eliminate them with a loss, but it's Game 6.5. Yeah. If they don't win tonight, then they're down 3-0 to the champions with another game in Sunrise 2 nights from now. No, they have to win this game. This is and so what I think you want, Scotty, I don't – Carolina's a slow starting team. I think they've scored, and my props when we talk about them will address that. I think they scored 6 goals in 12 games in the first period. He doesn't want to fall behind. And if you watch Game 2, the first shot beat Freddie Anderson. I just think he lost a little faith in Freddie Anderson. So I don't think it's a spark or he needs better. I think he wants better early from his goaltender. And he's going to go with Kochetkov because he believes he can hold the Panthers off the board at least for 20 minutes. I think that's key. Tonight, the Carolina Hurricanes start is going to be crucial if they hope to make this a series.
Do you think that he's also hoping, because don't we see this at times whenever there's a backup goaltender in? I know, like, from a betting perspective, we always look at like second nights of a back-to-back and we go, oh, we get the backup goaltender in, and then those games wind up going under and we're kicking ourselves and we're like, I can't believe I bet the over because of the backup goaltender. But we do see the teams maybe lock it down a little bit, have more defensive intensity, block more shots to try and help out their backup goaltender. Could we see something like that from the Hurricanes tonight?
It could, if he instills confidence in his defense, where they think, okay, we can't. Then not every shot's going to get blocked, Scott. Right? He's going to have to make some saves. So I just think early on to get into the game. And some people say it's a desperation move, and it is, because when you look at Freddie's numbers throughout the regular season of playoffs, they're really good, right? They're really, really good. But I think the last game performance, I think you got to pull out all the stops here and changing the goaltender. It would help if the goaltender could score goals, because this team can't score goals, Scotty. That's why they're down 0-2. It's not necessarily the defense and the goaltending. I get the move. I understand it. And Kochetkov has played in the playoffs before, not to any extent or not to any great level. But still, I understand the move, because you got to make some changes, Scott, after the first 2 games, especially the last game. When you have 7 shots halfway through the game, you know how fans shoot the puck during a power play? They were chanting Carolina shoot the puck during regular play, during 5-on-5. So I think it's a little bit of a desperation move. But if you lose tonight, like I said, the series is basically over.
I agree with you. Season on the line tonight. As far as the game tonight is concerned, you mentioned you might have some props. I like the under 1.5 in the first period. I do think that we get some, as much as Carolina wants to start out fast, I think their focus has to be defensively, especially going to Kochetkov in net. So I could see maybe a big effort from them defensively in the first period. And you mentioned it. They don't score in the first period. I don't trust them to score. So I like like the under 1.5 in the first period.
Me too. I'm with you on that one, Scott. Yeah, for sure. I think that you got to come out cautious. You got to come out and play elite defensive because the first 10 minutes, the Panthers are probably going to come at you hard. If you can withstand that first 10 minutes, then you could probably get to the intermission, nothing, or maybe up 1-0. So I think it's going to be a more defensively played first period from a Carolina standpoint. So I'm with you. I think under the goal and a half of the first period is a pretty sharp bet.
Any other plays that you're looking at for this game tonight?
Yeah, this is the game for Carolina, Scotty. So I like them on the money line.
Okay.
And who's going to lead the way? I think Svechnikov. He did not have a good game in game 2. Made some bad passes, took a dumb penalty, punched Kachuk in the back. So not from a scoring standpoint. I like him from a shot total. So, plus 100, over 2.5 shots. He's going to have to bring some offense if they're going to win. I think, again, this is going to be a desperate player playing for a desperate team. So I like the shot prop over 2.5 for Andrei Svechnikov from Carolina.
I've just been burned, Dennis. I played it in both games 1 and 2, and I've lost it both times. Like I like it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like, can I go back to the well though? I'm 0-2 betting it so far in this series.
Well, Scott, but can a team really lose 15 games in a row in the conference final? That's the offshoot of that bet, Scott. Because I agree with you. Their effort in game 1 and 2, they got smothered. I got to think, okay, you got to play you can't be that bad to get to the conference final that many times, Scott. Mm-hmm. But you're not that good that you lose that many games in a row. So I'm just banking on a reversal of trend here that at some point they're going to find a way to get through the Florida defense, get some shots on Bobrovsky, and find a way to win tonight. That's what I'm really betting on here is that it's an incredible it's an incredible record, Scott. I don't think it'll ever be equaled to get to this level and have that rate of failure.
It's unbelievable. It's almost like Buffalo Bills-esque, if you will.
Yes, great analogy.
We're talking to Dennis Bernstein, thefourthperiod.com. Great work, SiriusXM's NHL Radio. I'm Scott Seidenburg. It's Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN. We're about 20 minutes away from puck drop of game number 3 between the Panthers and the Hurricanes. You mentioned Bobrovsky, and right now he is your favorite, Dennis, to be the Conn Smythe Award winner. Yeah. And I think this is the bet that I would make because if you look at the other teams, right, and let's just look at the West, right, because I think as much as we think Carolina has a chance tonight, we're going to pick Florida to win this series, okay?
Right.
So,
agreed.
So let's look at the West. On Edmonton, yes, Connor McDavid's going to be the guy that the writers are going to lean towards, especially considering what happened last year. He wins it in a losing effort, right? Historic there. He did break Gretzky's assist record, but great historic effort. But you can make the argument, is it Draisaitl? Is it McDavid? What if somebody else has a big series? And then for Dallas, it's the same thing. Rantanen's been the guy that everyone's talking about, but I can make a strong case for Ottinger. If Florida wins the Cup, it's Bobrovsky and that's it. There's no one else on Florida I'm giving it over Bobrovsky, which is why I think that's the bet you have to make right now if you want to place a Conn Smythe future.
Right. And remember, if you're a voter and Florida winds up winning, you say, well, last year you gave it to Connor, even though Connor lost. So the natural selection would be there. And the leading goal scorer for the Florida Panthers is Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett is not winning the Conn Smythe. He's just not.
Yep.
Like, he's not a big enough name. He doesn't have enough assists. So, yeah, I would agree with you. If Florida goes on to win, Scotty, the only guy that you would play right now from a Panther standpoint would be Bobrovsky. I mean, there's no other bet to make, to be honest with you. So that would be the play, absolutely, with respect to the Florida Panthers.
He's your favorite right now, plus 250 to win the Conn Smythe Award. Dennis, while I have you, I want to talk about the World Championships. You know, not many people are familiar with it or even follow it. The IIHF World Championships are going on right now, and usually over the years you'll get players that, you know, their season comes to an end, they're eliminated, they'll go play for their countries. I mean, like Ovechkin was famous for doing this and going to play for Russia when they were in these tournaments. But for the most part, it's not the top players, it's not the top teams. We care more about the juniors than we do care about the senior World Championships.
Right.
But this year's a little different. And right now, the United States has won. They're in the final game against Switzerland coming up tomorrow. They're a minus 135 favorite. Do you think that the Four Nations face-off this year gave some of these players a little extra juice so that now they actually want to go play for their country? Because we're seeing some big-name players play in this tournament right now.
Yeah, Philip Forsberg, Mika Zibanejad, Zach Werenski was a finalist for the Norris Trophy. And I also think, Scott, looking ahead, the Olympics, especially for Team USA, guys like Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, they might want a shot at that berth, which is, you know, playing for gold, playing for country and club. That would be fantastic. So absolutely the four nations brought momentum in, but since we're a year removed from the Olympics, it's an opportunity for players who are on the cusps to go to the World Championships, play for USA Hockey, and make a case for making the Olympics next year.
Would you place the bet on USA minus 135? Totals at 5.5 for the final as well.
Yeah, over and USA, because they haven't won in 90 years. I think 1933 is the last time they got this far. So from a sentimental standpoint, and it's a really good team, Scott, and Swayman's playing better than he did for the Bruins. So yeah, I like the over, and I like the USA to finally capture gold in the World Championships.
Yep, that game is going to be, I believe, 2:20 Eastern time tomorrow. So get your bets in, USA Switzerland. Dennis, appreciate the time. We'll be following. We'll be listening. Good luck with your bets tonight.
Scott, great catching up on VSiN. Appreciate the time.
There he is, Dennis Bernstein. Check him out, SiriusXM's NHL Radio, thefourthperiod.com. And yeah, I'm going to bet that Team USA minus 135. Take the over 5.5 as well. USA Switzerland World Championships are tomorrow, the gold medal game. Smarter bets start here and last all year with VSiN Pro. Right now, sign up on an annual subscription and get 14 months for just $1.99 when you use promo code PRO. That's 2 extra months free for less than 50 cents a day. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Get instant access to a daily email with all the best bets from hosts and guests, betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, and 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app, plus full VSiN.com access to all our betting trends and breakdowns. Don't wait. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use promo code PRO. That's VSIN.com/subscribe.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.